जगद्विताय कृष्णाय गोविंदाय नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद, श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। श्री प्रभुपाद की जय हो। जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी, जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी, जय गोपीजन वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी, जय गोपीजन वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी। यशोदानंदन व्रज जनरंजन, यशोदानंदन व्रज जनरंजन। यमुना तीर वनचारी, यमुना तीर वनचारी, यमुना तीर वनचारी। जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी, जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। जय राधा गिरिधारी राधे, जय राधा गोविंद राधे। जय राधा श्याम सुंदर राधे। जय जगन्नाथ जय बलदेवा जय सुभद्रा। जय जगन्नाथ जय बलदेवा जय सुभद्रा। गौरानिताय जय गौरानिताय जय गौरानिताय। नित्य गौरा हरि बोल हरि बोल हरि बोल हरि बोल। नित्य गौरा हरि बोल हरि बोल हरि बोल हरि बोल। जय जय प्रभुपाद जय जय प्रभुपाद। जय जय गुरुदेव जय जय गुरुदेव। श्री प्रभुपाद की जय हो। आज मैं गौरांगु बोली थी, हवे लालसामयी प्रार्थना भाई नरोत्तम दास, शिला नरोत्तम दास ठाकुर के द्वारा वो करती हूँ। हरे कृष्णा। गौरांगु बोलिते हवे फूल का शरीर, गौरांगु बोलिते हवे फूल का शरीर। हरि हरि बोलिते नयने बबे नीरा। हरि हरि बोलिते नयने बबे नीरा। आर कबे निताय चांदे करुणा होइबे। हार कबे निताय चांदे करुणा होइबे। संसार वासना मोर कबे तुच्छ हबे। संसार वासना मोर कबे तुच्छ हबे। विषय छाड़िया कबे शुद्ध हबे मना। विषय छाड़िया कबे शुद्ध हबे मना। कबे हम हेरब श्री वृंदावना। कबे हम हेरब श्री वृंदावना। रूप रघुनाथ पदे होइबे आकुति। रूप रघुनाथ पदे होइबे आकुति। कबे हम बुझब से युगल प्रीति। कबे हम बुझब से युगल प्रीति। रूप रघुनाथ पदे रहु मोर आशा। रूप रघुनाथ पदे रहु मोर आशा। प्रार्थना करे सदा नरोत्तम दास। प्रार्थना करे सदा नरोत्तम दास। गौरांगो बोलिते हबे पुलक शरीर। गौरांगो बोलिते हबे पुलक शरीर। हरि हरि बोलिते नयने बबे नीरा। हरि हरि बोलिते नयने बबे नीरा। श्री नरोत्तम दास ठाकुर की जय हो। श्री प्रभुपाद की जय हो। पंच तत्व की जय हो। सर गोस्वामी की जय हो। हरे कृष्णा। Mataji, please do translation.
Hare Krishna. When will that opportune moment come to me, when there will be shivering of the body as soon as I chant Lord Gauranga's name, and after the shivering, while chanting Hare Krishna, when will there be tears pouring down my eyes? When will that day come when Lord Nityananda's causeless mercy is bestowed upon me, so that my desire for material enjoyment becomes very insignificant? When my mind is completely purified, being freed from material anxieties and desires, then I shall be able to understand Vrindavana and the conjugal love of Radha and Krishna, and then my spiritual life will be successful. When shall I be very much eager to study the books left by the six Goswamis? When one has to learn the conjugal loving affairs of Radha Krishna through the teachings of these six Goswamis. Narottama Dasa always wishes to understand this conjugal love under the direction of the six Goswamis. Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Prabhuji, for wonderful seva. Thank you, Mataji.
Yes, thank you. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna, everyone. Please accept my humble obeisances. All Krishna Prabhupada. Welcome back. So first we'll offer our prayers to Guru Parampara and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and then the six Goswamis of Vrindavan. Om Jnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Salakaya Chakshunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manovistam स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूप कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकं वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरो श्रीयुतपदकमलं श्रीगुरून् वैष्णवंश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सगुणरघुनाथान्वितं हे श्री रघुनाथ sorry वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरो श्रीयुतपदकमलं श्रीगुरून् वैष्णवंश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सगुणरघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्ण चैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधा कृष्णपादा सगुणललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितंश्च हे कृष्णा करुणा सिंधु दीनबंधु जगतपते गोपेश गोपिका कांत राधा कांत नमस्तुते तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्येव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। नमो महावदन्याय कृष्ण प्रेम पदायते कृष्णाय कृष्ण चैतन्य नामिने गौरकिशे नमः। O most magnificent incarnation, you are Krishna himself, appearing as Shri Krishna Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. We have assumed the golden complexion of Srimati Radharani, and we are widely displaying pure love of Krishna. We offer respectful obeisances unto you. Krishna Varnam Krisha Krishnam Sangopanlos Prapashidam Yagnai Sankirtana Praye Yajanti Sumedyasaha. In the age of Kali, intelligent persons perform congregation chanting to worship the incarnate of Godhead, who constantly sings the names of Krishna. Although his complexion is not blackish, he is Krishna himself. He is accompanied by his associates, servants, weapons, and confidential companions. Nana Sastra Vicharnaika Nipunau Shadadharma Samstapakau Lokanam Hitakarinau Tribhuane Manyau Sharanyakarau Radha Krishna Padarvind Bhajana Anande Namattalikau. Radha Krishna Padarvind Bhajana Anande Namattalikau. Vande Rupa Sanatana Shri Raghuvidau Shri Jiva Gopalakau. I offer my respectful obeisances unto the six Goswamis of Vrindavan, namely Shri Rupa Goswami, Shri Sanatana Goswami, Shri Raghunath Bhatta Goswami, Shri Raghunath Das Goswami, Shri Jiva Goswami, and Shri Gopal Bhatta Goswami, who are very expert in scrutinizing and studying all the revealed scriptures for the benefit of all human beings. Thus, they are honored all over the three worlds, and they are worth taking shelter of because they are absorbed in the mood of the gopis and are engaged in the loving transcendental service of Shri Radha and Krishna. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam ततो जयम् उदीरयत् नष्टप्रायेषु भद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवती उत्तमश्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्ठिकी हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे जय श्री कृष्ण गोविंद महादेव भजन again please accept my humble obeisances all the Rishi Prabhupada. Welcome back. So we are continuing hearing from Sri Madhurya Kadambini composed by Sri Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. So yesterday we did lesson 5. Today we will do lesson 6. But before I begin lesson 6, let's hear a recapping of lesson 5. Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
Yes, Prabhu. So I will do the recap today. Thank you very much for the opportunity. So we are almost about to complete chapter 1 of Shower 1, if I understand right. And we completed lesson 5 yesterday, as Prabhuji said. The title here is Futility of Any Practice Devoid of Bhakti. Prior to this, lesson 4 and 3 were more about, well, not more about, but they are about superiority of bhakti, why bhakti is superior to other paths. In this chapter, we focus, or the author focuses as that the other paths are so futile, which leaves us no choice but with bhakti as the only path to achieve the goal, which is prema. The author discusses all other parts. We discuss all the other parts along with very, very elaborate and wonderful examples from Shastra and the real life example of devotee. So, like yesterday, we started with wonderful Manasiksha prayers, and then we did a summary of lesson 4. And today, let me try to complete quickly the synopsis of lesson 5. Um, Lesson 5, text 5c, the discussion is futility of any practice devoid of bhakti. So, what are the other paths? The other path could be karma yoga, jnana yoga, um, or all other paths which we discuss, and one by one, it will be discussed over here or mentioned that these other paths, if they don't lead to bhakti, then they are just simply a waste of labor. The uh, verse referred to Srimad Bhagavatam was Savai Pamcho Puro Dharmo Yato Bhakti Ratokshe Aheti Priya Pratita. Oh, well, sorry, that's the prime verse. Sorry, and the key verse being referred to there is it is only a useless waste of labor if they don't lead to bhakti. Whereas bhakti is totally independent. It does not depend on karma yoga, dhyan yoga, jnana yoga. That we discussed in the previous, but this was stressed again. 5D in performance of bhakti, the considerations such as purity of time and place are not considered. The example given here was like when Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu once was evacuating, and during that time he could not hold his tongue speaking, chanting Hare Krishna Mahamantra. But one of his, child, very young child disciple, I think the name mentioned was Gopal, who later is referred to as Gopal Guru, told him that no, Mahaprabhu, we should not hold because you only taught us that that can come anytime and it can come at this time also. So why should we hold back the chanting of the holy name? And since then, actually, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu considered him as a guru as well because he gave a wonderful lesson and that is still applicable, which means we can chant this Maha Mantra. That is the potency and power of Maha Mantra that we can chant anytime, all time, and it's recommended to chant all 24 hours, especially in this time and age of Kali Yuga. So that is the potency of bhakti, whereas other parts like karma yoga, jnana yoga, first you have to purify, you have to do so many other things and get into the state so that you can do it. But bhakti, chanting the mantra has no consideration at all. This is not to be considered as easy option, but this is the potency and power of a bhakti. Right? And then in Karma Yoga, text 5 is in Karma Yoga, error in utterance of mantra give rise to immense obstacles. So Prabhuji took us through the wonderful lesson of Tvashta Rishi. The whole thing over there was he wanted to chant a mantra which would produce killer of Indra. But just simply because while the chanting was correct, but the utterance was not in the correct tone, like where it should be high pitch, it was low pitch, where it should be low pitch, it was something simple like that happened. And the result was the person who was born was actually got killed by him. So in other paths like Karma Yoga, everything should be very, very accurate. The whole thing should be very fine. But in Bhakti Yoga, Krishna is so kind that he looks only at the heart. Even if the mantra is not chanted in the correct pitch, meter, vocabulary, there is example given Vaishnave Namaha, how Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu translated. But Lord, look at the heart of the devotee. If the devotee is doing with the pure mood, with the devotional mood, everything is discounted. He just look at the bhava, and 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 furthermore, the Hare Krishna mantra is so simple that we see all the different um, people of all different race we chant, right? So that was part 5E. 5F, Gyan Yoga is subservient to karma yoga, and the slightest deviation is condemned. This was something was a new takeaway and learning for us, I believe, that Gyan Yoga is actually dependent on Karma Yoga. How is that? Because one has to first purify himself by doing Karma Yoga. When he is fully purified and has better control over mind, then he can perform Gyan. Furthermore, the demons like Ravan, Hiranyakashipu, Hiranyaksha and others, they were very, very well Gyanis. Hiranyakashipu gave a very good Bhagavad Gita class when his brother passed away, but then no application of it. So there is no guarantee that Gyan Yoga will purify your heart. And it is depending on Karma Yoga also, but we discussed about Bhakti. Bhakti is totally independent. The eradication, text 5G, eradication of lust, the disease of the heart through bhakti. So that also we discuss in detail how bhakti uh, can go to the bijam level and destroy all the vices. Then text 5H, Shastra does not, Shastra 5H and I are like similar, that Shastra will not criticize a person depraved, sorry, Shastra does not criticize even a depraved person in his performance of bhakti. The example given one here is in 5A, like Ajamel, who is accepted as a bhakta even though he chanted a mere semblance of the holy name. Like even when person is on a path of bhakti, even if there is a fall down or diversion, but if somehow or other one continues to chant and stay on the path, then he's still considered a Mahajan. And Krishna makes so wonderful arrangement that once someone goes over him or genuinely just simply cry that I want to surrender, and Krishna make all the required arrangements so the person will not fall down, even if there is an apparent fall down, there is learning for him and then him or her, the devotee, and he will come back. So such is the path, and finally, again concluding, so bhakti is completely independent. It comes by mercy of the Lord and devotees, and it's the best path we have, and all other paths are totally futile. So let's just connect to bhakti. In the last section, Archana Mataji took us through the deep dive of the verse, which is Api Chetasu Sudara Suduracharo. Like we discussed in depth about the Durachari, like a person who can possibly misuse uh, this very wonderful facility given by the Lord. However, Lord does take care of them. Uh, I complete that here, Prabhuji. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.
Wonderful. Thank you very much, Sanjeev Prabhuji. So very nicely done. Recapping of lesson 5. So we did hear about the Gyanis, So we are going to, Shri Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur takes us further. We are going to focus on the three branches of Jnana. So the Gyanis, they assert that you cannot get onto Bhakti platform until the devotee is fully aware of this Atma Jnana. Atma Jnana means we are not this body, we are spirit soul. So lot more focus they play and they put on the Jnana until you have that Atma Jnana, you cannot get into the Bhakti platform. And that is where the contention. Now, three branches of Jnana. So Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur takes us how methodically, in a great organized way, with scriptural evidence, he defeats the contention of the Jnanis, that Bhakti is totally independent of any Jnana, even Atma Jnana that might be useful in the beginning, but if you continue focus on that, then the heart becomes too stoic, too hard, and we need soft heart to serve the Lord through our emotion, through our bhavas, through rasas, and that then excessive focus on the Jnana that is not really not only helpful, it's in fact it's not helpful, but it could be even harmful. So that is what our focus is today. So first we will see the three branches of Jnana. So let me show you here I hope everybody can see. I'm sharing my screen with you. So this is our usual slide, and the yellow box that shows it that we are going to focus on this lesson 6, the superiority of Bhakti over Jnana, whose ultimate goal is to get moksha or liberation by merging into the impersonal Brahma Jyoti of Krishna, called Sayujya Mukti. Okay, so Bhakti in fact takes precedence over there, that we will see. So this is text 5K, and it is page 88 to 100. I give you the page numbers so you can really go back if you have some questions to the text. Okay. So these are the three branches of Jnana. So in support of their contention, the Jnanis, that it is Jnana that activates Bhakti, the Jnanis, they subscribe that inclination for Bhakti does not come unless you have this Atma Jnana, the knowledge of the soul, and Paratattva or the Bhagavad Tattva, and the knowledge of absolute truth, and so on. But Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, he thinks that these Jnanis are really on the wrong footing. They are missing. So he very categorically refutes them with scriptural evidence. And that's what we will see, we will analyze that, okay? As analyzed by Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. So he provides extensive analysis of the Jnana with these three branches. What are those three branches? As you see right here, A, B, and C. A is called, in Sanskrit, called Tat Padartha Jnana. There is actually the Paratattva, or Bhagavad Tattva. That is the science of Krishna, the Jnana of Krishna, the knowledge of Bhagavan Shri Krishna. the object of worship. Now that is devotee's interpretation, but the Jnani's interpretation of the Paratattva is somewhat different. In a moment we will see that. And then the other branch is the Jiva Tattva, or it's called Tvam Padartha Jnana, the knowledge of the living entities, how we are part and parcel of Krishna, but we are eternally separated part and parcel of Krishna. And we actually, the Tatastha Shakti, we are the marginal potency of the Lord. Internal potency, of course, Bhakti Devi. External potency is Maya, and we are the in between. And since we are atomic size, there are two states of existence we have, the living entities. If we are towards Krishna in Bhakti, then we are pure. But because we are so minute atomic size, we could easily get diverted. If we lose our focus on Krishna, then immediately Maya Devi takes full control of us with the weapons of three modes of material nature. We saw some part of it yesterday. We're going to go a little bit detail. The third branch of Jnana is the relationship, the knowledge of the relationship between the Jiva Tattvas and Bhagavan, Shri Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. We are going to go much detail when we conduct this Jaiva Dharma, Nitya Dharma and Naimitika Dharma. Nitya Dharma is the Paro Dharma, that is for the devotion, that is the function of the soul. But then when the soul gets misdirected and get attracted to the Maya because of the self-interest, then their dharma also gets a little bit diverted, and that is called Naimitika Dharma. That is not eternal. We will see in Jaiva Dharma. But I just wanted to point out we are going to go much deeper in these branches of knowledge. So now all of you must have a clear-cut idea of three branches of science. Let me repeat again. One, the science of Krishna, Bhagavad Tattva Vijnanam. But the devotee's interpretation is quite different than Jnani's interpretation. In a moment, how they interpret, we will see. And then the Jiva Tattva, the living entities, eternally separated part and parcel of Krishna. And when we turn our face away from Krishna, then immediately become trapped by Maya. And that is the beginning of the sufferings in material existence. And the third branch is the interrelationship between living entities and Shri Krishna, Bhagavan Shri Krishna. Okay, so now we'll see, so that's Jiva Tattva. So now we will see the interpretation of the devotees and the interpretation of the Jnanis. The first devotee's interpretation, the knowledge of the personal form of absolute truth, that is Shri Krishna. And devotees know Krishna is Satchit Ananda, eternity, cognizance or knowledge, and full bliss. That is Satchit Ananda. Krishna is like that. We are being small part and parcel, atomic part and parcel of Krishna. We are also actually Satchit Ananda in that regard. Okay, and Bhagavan, Swayam Bhagavan, as Jiva Goswami we heard in the 6 Sandarbhas, is Para Brahma. We are also Brahman, but to distinguish from the living entities, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Shri Krishna, is Para Brahma, beyond that. And that is there even when he enacts those sweet pastimes in Vrindavan, this human-like sweet pastimes with his unmatched beauty, he remains the supreme. He remains the Parabrahma. Even though the devotees in Vrindavan, the Ragatmika devotees, because of their prema, the Krishna's opulence and Aishwarya remains kind of hidden. They are not affected by that. Okay, and Krishna is the Akhil Rasa Murti. He is the ultimate embodiment, personification of all the rasas, the 5 principal rasas and the 7 secondary rasas, the ecstatic bhavas, emotion, symptoms in the prema bhakti with Krishna. So, and that is because of Krishna's unlimited sweetness. These 4 particular Venu Madhya, Rup Madhya, Lila Madhya, and so on like that. And of course, Krishna is the ocean of kindness, compassion. That Krishna has that. So this is what the devotees' knowledge of Krishna, whereas Jnanis interpret it a little differently. We'll see in that moment. Okay, first Jiva Tattva also, the knowledge of the living entities. The entities are conscious being emanating from Bhagwan's marginal potency, and we are Vibhina Amsha. Vibhina means separated. Mamai Vamsha Jiva Loke, Jiva Bhuta Sanatana. So we are part and parcel atomic size of Krishna, just like spark particles of big, huge fire, or the sun rays from the sun god, the sun, there is a difference. And so Krishna is called Vibhu, the unlimited, supreme, where we are Anu, or atomic size, and we are Vibhina Amsha and Tatastha Shakti, marginal potency, separated expansion with a minute little independence we do have. Okay. So now we'll see the Jnanis, what they think, what their knowledge. So this is now there's an interrelationship between the Bhagavan Tattva, Bhagavan Shri Krishna, and the living entities. A school of the leftmost school of the Jnanis subscribe to the oneness of the absolutes devoid of quality. So they, we devotees know that Krishna is a person, okay? Whereas Jnanis, they subscribe that Krishna is actually a Parabrahma, is totally no form, no qualities, Nirguna, Nirakara. So Srila Prabhupada explains to us that Nirguna is yes, but that is devoid of material qualities. And the Krishna does have a form, a sweet form. But the Jnanis, they focus on Krishna's impersonal form with no particular attributes. Okay? They do not accept personal form of Bhagavan. Their ultimate goal is to merge within the Brahma Jyoti, the impersonal Brahma Jyoti of Shri Krishna. And then that way they think that that is moksha or sayujya mukti, liberation through merging in the impersonal Brahman, Brahma. Then again, we are looking at the interrelationship between the living entities and Krishna. So Bhagavan, as I already told you, is Vibhu, unlimited, infinite, whereas Jiva Tattva, living entities, are minute, tiny, tiny particles, atomic size that we are. Where Krishna, Bhagavan Shri Krishna, is transcendental beyond the three modes of moksha, where Krishna controls Maya, where we are being controlled by Maya. That's a big difference. Maya is the illusory potency of Krishna. Jiva is controlled by Maya with her three modes of material nature. And we want to transcend that. If we become devotees of the Lord, just by the power, potency of the devotion, then we are also protected from Maya. On our own, we cannot. When living, so I already told you the two states of existence. When we become forgetful of Krishna, the sole cause of Jiva's, there is an entanglement uh, uh, under Maya's influence. That happens when we forget Krishna because of our tremendous self-interest, selfish interest, separate from Krishna, then Maya takes full control of us. And I told you that ends up misery, and we'll go in great length in this Madhurya Kadambini. The Sanskrit word for misery is called klesha. Different kinds of klesha, we will see that. Then when Jiva again come to its senses after suffering life after life, then by the mercy of some devotee, we surrender to Krishna through the process of devotional service of bhakti under the lotus feet of Bhagavan. So now, Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, now he's going to take us through giving different scriptural evidence why the Gyanis are wrong. They think that we cannot get into bhakti platform unless first we derive this Atma Jnana that we just discussed. Okay, so before we get into that, let us take a break. And this is a very simple class, really. No much deep philosophy, just a little bit of it, of course. But after the break, we are going to get a little bit deeper when Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur gives scriptural evidence. So we are going through that. Okay, so now so far it's easy. Now we are going to get a little bit difficult part of it. Okay, so relax and we'll meet again in 5 minutes. Thank you. Just about a minute left now. All right. 2 seconds. Okay. So now this is a little bit complicated slide. So now Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, in a very systematic manner, with scriptural evidence, he is going to refute the contention of the Jnanis who claim that we cannot get onto the Bhakti platform. These are actually Jnana Mishra devotees. They are devotees, but predominantly they are Jnanis, and that's why they emphasize Jnana too much. So with scriptural evidence, the Jnani's contention that Jnana is an activator of Bhakti. And so Bhakti depends on Atma Jnana. That is what the contention. And Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur is going to refute that. The scriptures don't support that. So we already saw there are 3 branches of Jnana, right? Firstly, Bhagavad Tattva or Paratattva, Sri Bhagavan Sri Krishna. Then we saw the Jiva Tattva. And the third, the interrelationship between the Jivas and Bhagavan. So 3 kinds of Jnana, they independently enter in the devotee's heart by Krishna's mercy. But it cannot be an activator because it is not a limb of the bhakti process. So that's the first example. This jnana is not necessarily an limb, anga of bhakti. Okay. So now, what is the evidence? So Sri Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur first quotes a verse from Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu by Srila Rupa Goswami. So when Jnana and Vairagya are favorable to Bhakti, their usefulness is accepted, as I told you before, because we need to know that we are not this physical body, we are spirit soul. But the devotees goes further. We are not only spirit soul. There's just a preliminary stage of the jnana, but the even more important, we are meant to serve Krishna. So that is the difference here. So in the beginning, it is helpful, but as we go much deeper and we hung up on this jnana too much, just like the jnanis, then the heart becomes stoic, too devoid of emotions and things like that. So the continued infusion hardens the heart with no emotions. These philosophers, that's what happens. And jnanis are actually philosophers. Their approach by deduction, logic, like that they do. So softening of the heart with emotion is necessary for progressing into prema bhakti. Our ultimate fruit, our ultimate goal is to develop love for Krishna. And how do you love someone if you don't have any emotions? If your heart is not showing that emotion, then you cannot develop love for someone. And here we are talking about love for the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So, and that's why these philosophers, the jnanis, it becomes difficult to get the Bhakti platform if they continue to get hung up on this jnana. They must come a little bit down. And I told you before, in the 2 classes before, actually Krishna glorifies jnanis because they are just one step away from Bhakti platform. If they get in association of a devotee, either directly or indirectly, directly by Bhagavan, indirectly through devotee. These 2 examples we heard, right? The first example was the Sukadeva Goswami, who was on the Jnana platform, and Brahman realized soul, but when tricked by his father, Shri Vyasadeva, he had one of his disciples recite a verse from the Bhagavatam glorifying Krishna's beauty and sweetness. When Sukadeva Goswami heard, immediately he became a devotee, So that is, they are only one step away from that, When they hear about Krishna, immediately they get attracted. Similar thing happened to the 4 Kumaras. When the 4 Kumaras, when they were prevented entering Vaikuntha planet by the doorkeepers Vijay and Jay and Vijay, they became angry and they cursed them. And immediately Krishna came running, Lord Vishnu actually in this case, because this we are talking about Vaikuntha planet. So Lord Vishnu, Lord Narayana came running without even shoes, just to prevent further damage to his devotees, his confidential associate Jay and Vijaya. And there he explained everything. So when he was coming, when Lord Vishnu is coming, and on the lotus feet of the Lord, there is Tulsi Dala, the leaves of Tulsi, right? So the aroma of Tulsi, when entered in the nostrils of the 4 Kumaras, immediately from Brahman realized, they become Bhagavan realized, they immediately become devotees. And they were really so much fascinated by the beauty of the Lord. So there's another verse, Lord Brahma, this is from Srimad Bhagavatam, 10th canto, chapter 14, text 3. Here is the verse. Those who, even while remaining situated in their established social positions, so now see the whole that you see in the very box, whole is in one big sentence. So it will be a bit confusing, right? Okay, I'm going to make it a little bit simple. What Lord Brahma is saying. Firstly, let's read the verse itself, the translation, and then we'll break it into several sentences to understand. Those who, even while remaining situated in their established social positions, throw away the process of speculative knowledge, and with their body, word, and mind, man, vachan, and karma, offer all respects to the description of your personality and activities, guna karma of the Lord, dedicating their lives to these narrations, which are vibrated by you personally and by your pure devotees, certainly conquer your lordship, although you are otherwise unconquerable by anyone within the 3 worlds. So what's really, let's break it up. First of all, we, by some great fortune, come in contact with a devotee, and then normally we were situated in a particular varnas and ashrama, right? Established social customs and social positions. But all these things throw away in the process of the speculative knowledge, mental concoction, everything. And then, because the devotee's influence, we start hearing, chanting the Lord, and immediately the potency of the Lord's holy name brings revolution complete transformation takes place in our body, and then we become attracted by the Lord's sweetness and beauty, and the Lord's wonderful pastimes, Leela Madhurya, and his Venu Madhurya, his flute. We become attracted by that wonderful sweet pastimes of Krishna. When we simply hear about that, and the lower modes influence gets subsided, because Krishna is sitting in our heart, he purifies the mirror of our heart, and instead of the lower modes, he establishes the mode of goodness first, and then pure goodness, because goodness, Sattvam Singyate Jnanam, Sattvam Yat Brahma Darshanam. So that real Bhagavad Tattva Vijnanam develops in our heart, okay? And we become attracted, and then we render devotional service under the direction of senior devotee. And that sweetness, we experience Lord's sweetness. Certainly, then we render loving devotional service. Krishna actually himself gets conquered by the devotees when we really do with such great sincerity, with such great love, with such great emotions, particular bhavas, ecstatic bhavas. That's what Krishna is looking for, that. And Krishna becomes immediately conquered. He takes even some, many times he takes a subordinate position, like when he, for Arjuna, for the Pandavas, he became their messenger. For Arjuna, he became his chariot driver, like that, So many examples. We will hear more about it in this particular Madhurya Kadambini. And he is unconquerable, but willingly he accepts a subordinate position to his devotees. That is what the purport of what Brahmaji is saying there. So I broke it down into smaller sentences. So that is from Srimad Bhagavatam. So that is what Bhakti process and its potency, what it does, that we just heard. Okay. So and Jnana and Vairagya, this knowledge and the renunciation that the Jnanis preach, they automatically come from Bhakti. It's not the Jnana and Vairagya needed first that will activate our Bhakti. That is these two particular evidence. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur quotes many more scriptural evidence, and I couldn't include all of that here. So here we clearly see Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur clearly demonstrated that Jnana and Vairagya, the Jnana is not the activator, but rather they are the byproduct of Bhakti. Automatically, when we render Bhakti, automatically the required knowledge that is required to come to closer to Krishna, Krishna already gives us that knowledge. Tesham satati yuktanam bhajatam priti purvakam dadami buddhi yogam tam yena mama upiyantite. Krishna gives necessary knowledge how to come closer and closer to Krishna, and automatically renunciation takes place. Renunciation means getting away from material pursuits and coming simultaneously being attached to Krishna's service. Detachment from the material world, attachment towards Krishna, that takes place. So that is, see, the Jnana Vairagya already, it's a byproduct of Bhakti, not the other way around. So Bhakti's supreme excellence over even Mukti, because Jnanis, their goal is to become free from material sufferings, liberation, moksha, but here Bhakti is greater than liberation even, and that's what we are going to see in this verse. Sukadeva Goswami's verse is here. This is from 5th canto, chapter 6 and text 18. My dear king, the supreme person Mukunda is actually the maintainer of all the members of the Pandava and Yadu dynasties. He is your spiritual. Now, this is what actually what we hear Sukadeva Goswami saying, but actually Narad Muni is telling to Pandava there, worshipful deity friend and the director of your activities. So how Pandava has great love for Krishna, and Krishna willingly takes menial jobs on behalf of the Pandavas. In fact, he became a messenger of the Pandavas to make Suleha or some kind of understanding with the Kauravas headed by Duryodhana. And Duryodhana was too stubborn actually, but Krishna did take that role. And then when actually the war broke out, he became a chariot driver of Arjuna's chariot, So that's what here we hear that Sukadeva Goswami is saying. In fact, he's talking about Narada Muni instructing the Pandavas. Sukadeva Goswami is telling to Parikshit Maharaj. Parikshit Maharaj is the grandson of the Pandavas, particularly Arjuna. To say nothing of this, he sometimes serves your family as a messenger or even a servant. This means he worked just as ordinary servants do. Out of great love, Krishna reciprocates that love. Pandavas loved the Lord also tremendously, and Krishna reciprocates that. So those engaged in getting the Lord's favor attain liberation from the Lord very easily. See that? You don't need to separately aim for that. Krishna automatically frees his devotees from the sufferings of the material world. So automatically get moksha. But the devotees, even though offered liberation, they don't accept that because they don't want to commit spiritual suicide, just merging into the impersonal Brahmajyoti of Krishna. They want to continue rendering devotional service. That's what they want to do that. So they reject liberation, even though Krishna offers very freely to all his devotees. Krishna makes them free from material sufferings because we are no more under the influence of the three modes of material nature. When we become devotee, then we take shelter of Krishna's lotus feet. So here it says, this means he worked just as ordinary servants do. So those engaged in getting Lord's favor attain liberation from the Lord very easily, but they don't want to accept that. This is what verse says. So here in this particular slide, I showed you some key scriptural references where Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti clearly demonstrate that it is not what the Jnanis contend that Jnana are the activator of Bhakti platform, Bhakti. No, rather Jnana and the renunciation, they are automating the byproduct of Bhakti. You don't need to have that, automatically necessary knowledge you derive that Krishna himself provides through his internal potency, particularly the three parts of internal potency, Sandhini Shakti, Samavit Shakti, and Ladini Shakti. It is the Samavit Shakti, knowledge-giving potency, when ordinarily those who are non-devotees, Krishna in the heart, everyone's heart, he is there as the super soul, right? He guides us. There are three functions of the super soul. One, he is the witness, supreme witness. Anything that we do, Krishna notices that as the super soul. He's side by side. He's situated in the heart, side by side with the soul. Okay, and then he also has the sanctioning authority. Without his sanctioning authority, even the blade of grass cannot move. And the third, even the most important, Surhudam Sarvabhutanam. He is the best well-wishing friend of the living entities. He advises, guides us. So this is what the super soul, three major functions in everyone's heart. But when that person becomes a devotee, then Krishna personally takes charge of that devotee in the heart, and his three internal potencies starts working for him. And I told you that the eternity of the bhakti itself, then the knowledge-giving potency of the Lord's internal potency, the Samvit Shakti, constantly Krishna guides the devotee from within how to come closer and closer. Krishna sends a spiritual master in his life who directs him, guides him closer and closer, how to and engages three components of Vaidhi Bhakti means. One, Guru guides us how to render devotional service, engaging our bodily senses and the mind. That's the first component. And then under the scriptural injunctions, that's the second component. But how to interpret the scriptures, that is where Guru provides us, So three components of Vaidhi Bhakti. So that's how Krishna provides the instruction, guidance from within as he's sitting in our heart, in devotee's heart, not the expansion of the super soul, and from without, that is from externally by his senior devotees who comes to us and guides us. And the Guru also gives us the scriptural knowledge, particularly Bhagavatam. So this is how we get the necessary knowledge directly from Krishna, Bhagavad Tattva Vijnanam. We get that. So clearly, the Jnani's contention is defeated by this scriptural evidence. Okay, now here is another complicated slide, but we'll make it and focus. So there is a vast superiority of prema bhakti over moksha. Moksha is at the beginning; it is a byproduct. But the devotee goes beyond than that. He gets engaged in loving devotional service. He tastes the sweetness of Krishna in rendering bhakti. It's susukam, with great joy, the devotional service bhakti is rendered. So here, let's focus on the left side. Moksha, the ultimate goal of the jnanis, the three branches of the jnana, which cannot be the activator of bhakti for two reasons. Now, Srila Vishnu Chakravarti directly points out, first, jnana itself is not the limb or the anga of bhakti. Bhakti is independent, totally independent. Jnana is not part of that. And the second component, bhakti is greater than the moksha. Moksha is like a Sahaja Mukti is like spiritual suicide committing, whereas devotee constantly, even after liberation, his bhakti continues serving the Lord, even after liberation. The ultimate goal of jnana, that is what it is. The jnana's ultimate goal is liberation. The devotee goes beyond than that. Okay, so that is first, bhakti is superior to the liberation. Now we focus here in the part B. Bhagavan does not give prema bhakti unless there is hankering within the heart. So this is very important thing we learn here. That we are on the devotional platform, okay? We are as a sadhaka, as a practitioner. But our goal, in fact, the whole entire Madhurya Kadambini is that all about different progressive stages from the beginning. This Navada Bhakti, the seed of that Bhakti Lata Bija, there is planted in the heart. The heart is to be properly placed, just like when you plant a seed in our vegetable garden, the garden has to be tilled, right? All the rocky stuff must be removed, and the soil has to be very, very fertile for the seed to germinate. Same your heart also must be like that. So that rocky thing that is there, it is our lusty influence, all the unnecessary, inauspicious elements of the heart, that must be removed. So that is the tilling of the heart, the ground, the field in which Bhakti Lata Bij has to be sown. And then when heart is properly placed, then the beej, the seed of Navada Bhakti, beginning with hearing, like on that, immediately the seed germinates, sprouts, and the first two leaves comes out. All these things, the entire the plant of bhakti, ultimately the fruit, prema, Krishna prema, develops at the top. All individual stages, Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur takes us through each individual stage at great length. This is the whole entire Madhurya Kadambini that we are going to begin from next week onwards. But this is just the first preparation that how bhakti has the superiority over other branches of self-realization. So here, Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says that Krishna ordinarily doesn't give prema bhakti to every Tom, Dick and Harry. No, we have to have a hanker for that. Instead of hankering for material happiness, we need to hanker to get Krishna's loving prema bhakti, love for Krishna. So here there, let's go to three aspects of it. If a devotee wants liberation or material sense gratification, Krishna very willingly gives to his devotees. Krishna will immediately deliver it right away to his devotee. But pure devotional service, he keeps it hidden. And reason that's given in this particular verse from Chaitanya Charitamrita. Here, if those who desire material enjoyment or merging into the existence of the absolute truth engages to the Lord's trans-loving, so even those initially like Gyanis, I told you they're just one step away from the bhakti platform, but when they meet a devotee, here directly Krishna or his devotees, when they meet, immediately transformation takes place. So that same Jnani before now renders devotional service, they will immediately attain shelter of Krishna's lotus feet. That is what in Krishna glorifies Jnani in that respect. Although they did not ask for it, normally you have to hanker for that, right? But Krishna willingly gives even prema bhakti to such Jnanis like that. Just like Sukadev Goswami example, the four Kumaras and so on like that. They did not ask, but Krishna willingly gives. Krishna assumed a subordinate role actually, that we saw in the case of Pandavas. So Krishna therefore is very, very merciful and very, very favorably disposed towards the devotees. This is again Chaitanya Charitamrita, Madhya Leela. So Krishna is why he's reluctant to do prema bhakti. When we saw that Krishna is reluctant because he himself becomes subordinate, surrender himself, and he's conquered by his devotees. That's the reason he doesn't give until we really become properly qualified and we really hanker for that prema bhakti. The other reason why Krishna rarely grants prema bhakti, and unless Krishna gives, we cannot get it. That's also there. It's because he becomes controlled by it. So the only way to get it is by rendering pure devotional service with great loving devotional service. Then eventually Krishna comes under the control because Radharani controls Krishna, and Radharani, who is Radharani? He is the personification of Bhakti Devi. She is Bhakti Devi in that regard. So Krishna completely under the control of Srimati Radharani. So Prabhupada says many times that if we actually serve Radharani first, so Radharani will actually recommend to Krishna, here is this devotee, you must take a second look at him, and immediately Krishna listens to Radha. So very nicely what we saw here, that the bhakti is far more superior than this moksha. Moksha, or the liberation that most Jnanis, in fact, many people who are not really devotees, because of their constantly influenced by such philosophers, they aim for moksha. I've seen particular examples of such many. They want moksha, but they don't understand when you come to Bhakti platform, then you realize moksha is nothing. You automatically get there without asking for it. But then beyond than that, serving the Lord, the great pleasure that you get is serving the Lord, chanting the holy name, dressing the deities like that, and reading his about sweet pastimes. All these things show such great pleasure you develop with such emotions. So that's far more superior than just getting liberation. Liberation is just becoming free from these material sufferings. So long as the hankering for enjoyment and liberation remains in the heart of the bhaktas engage in bhajana, but when they engage in bhajana, Krishna does not give them prema bhakti unless asked for that. Rather, he conceals it from them because of that, because he himself surrenders to the devotee, because of that. Since bhakti is so superior to mukti, which is the ultimate goal of the jnanis, how can jnana be the activity of bhakti? That is the argument of Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, that bhakti is far more superior to liberation, and that was the goal of the jnanis. And here Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti very clearly defeated that goal, showing bhakti is superior to moksha. It's like an example. If you're aiming for $1,000, if somebody is giving you $10,000, so that $1,000 is no value. So higher taste when you develop, the lower taste doesn't make any sense. That's what simple way of explaining that. Okay, this is the last slide. So again, there are 6 components of it. So the vast superiority of prema bhakti over moksha is continuing. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti is continuing, and again giving several scriptural references. So this one is from Srimad Bhagavatam, 6th canto. So here Parikshit Maharaj is speaking to Sukadeva Goswami. O great sage, among many millions who are liberated even in this life, Jivan Mukta, right in this life, even though they have material body, but their material body is free of the 3 modes of material nature, the influence of that. So right, even though he has a material body, he is devoid of the influence of the 3 modes of material. That is called Jivan Mukta. But Bhakta is even greater than that. That's what he says. O great sage, among many millions who are liberated even in this life, Jivan Mukta, out of those millions, perfect in knowledge of liberation, one may be a devotee of Lord Narayana. Okay, so out of this great jnanis who become Jivan Mukta, millions of them, only one in that million, they might become such a pure prema bhakta. That's what it is, of Lord Narayana or Krishna. Such devotees who are fully peaceful and extremely rare. Jiva Goswami says, to attain Sahyajya Mukti, even a Jivan Mukta must wait until his prarabdha karmas are destroyed. Okay? But for a devotee, by the dint of devotional service, that we will see the whole section on that, how this klesha, the material sufferings, the 4 components of that, even the seed form is totally demolished by rendering bhakti. That we will see that. So here it says, Jiva Goswami, to attain Sahyajya Mukti, those jnanis whose goal is to merge into the Brahma Jyoti of Krishna, but they also have to first make sure all the prarabdha karma means the fructified sinful reactions that they must get over first before they get liberation. Third, a devotee of Lord Narayana is rarer than billions of such Jivan Muktas. This is because the mind of such a devotee is serene, means very peaceful, undisturbed. So that is what how one becomes a devotee. So Jiva Goswami, fourth component. Even if a person is liberated in this life, he again becomes bound to worldliness. So see that just because so even one who merges in the Brahma Jyoti, they might still sometimes fall down to come back to the material platform. Even if a person is liberated in this life, Jivan Mukta, he can still, there is a risk, he can still fall down, but again being attracted to the material things and bound to this worldliness, being addicted to material desires because of offenses to the Supreme Personality of God, or offending a senior devotee. That can happen. Fifth component, a devotee of Krishna is free from all material desires. That is by the dint of bhakti. He is peaceful. Why is peaceful? Because he has no any worries. He fully relies on Krishna's protection and support. He surrenders himself totally to Krishna, that what is the way Krishna wants to treat me, I will stay as long as I get to serve my Lord. That's his goal. Those who desire material enjoyment, liberation from worldliness, mystic perfections, are restless. This is from Chaitanya Charitamrita. And finally, a devotee of Bhagavan are therefore far superior to those who have perfected jnana. Even the jnanis who become perfect, now they become qualified. All the prarabdha karmas are abolished, okay, and they come to the jnana platform, the ultimate goal, and become liberation. Even that ultimate fruit means nothing to a devotee. Even one who delights in the featureless aspect of the absolute gives up the path of jnana, and just like Sukadeva Goswami gave up the Brahman realization, 4 Kumaras, and then came to Bhagavan realization, and there is far superior to Brahman realization. And then they get this Hari Bhajana, from achieving the slightest taste of it. And Sukadeva Goswami, Sukadeva Goswami then learned the entire Bhagavatam from his father, and so brilliantly, beautifully, he sang the Bhagavatam to Parishad Maharaj. That is what genuinely Sukadeva Goswami enjoyed becoming a devotee of the Lord. Hare Krishna. So I'll stop here. And we have more than 30 minutes now for discussion. Hare Krishna. Thank you so much for your time. Okay. Open for discussion.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Dandot Pranam, Prabhu. Dandot Pranam. Thank you so much for a wonderful class, Prabhu. Prabhu, just a question, Prabhu. You that Sambandha relationship, what you said, Prabhu. So how we need to understand there is a 3 levels of jnanas are there, Prabhu? Sambandha, Avideya, and Prayojana. In that context, how we need to comprehend? Is this is all this branches is coming in this that Sambandha Jnana only, Prabhu, or
no, this is different than what we just talked about. The 3 branches of jnana is to understand who is Bhagavan, who is Krishna, who are we, and what is our relationship with him. There is this. What you just said, the Sambandha, Avideya, and Prayojana, it is part of it, but not precisely that. Prayojana means what's your goal? You want to become a devotee. And how you become, what is the way, what is the means by which you become a devotee? There is avideya. Sambandha, that is the relationship between you and the Lord. But first you have to know who you are, and then what is Krishna, and what is our relationship with him. So that way is a little bit different, you know. But that comes part of it. And Jaiva Dharma will go in great length about that. Sambandha, avideya, and prayojana. Prayojana is the goal, ultimate goal, that you want to become a devotee of the Lord. And ultimately fruit, prema. Did I answer your question? I can't hear.
Prabhu, when you speak, there is some echo is going on, background noise is going on. I don't know, is it from your another laptop system or something like that?
Yeah, but I turned off the microphone, the other laptop. See, I'm
Okay.
using laptops. The laptop with the microphone I'm using, that is working. And I have the big monitor with another laptop. So the video image, I can see a large image, you know. That's the reason.
Okay.
Sometimes,
Sure,
even though I turn it off the microphone of that laptop, it may have some influence over here, you know.
Yes, that's okay, bro. No problem. Thank you, bro. Very good.
Thank you. Thank you. Any further questions?
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Rendar Pranam. Thank you very much for your class. Prabhu, the last slide, if you can show once again, the last slide.
You want to see the last slide, right?
Yes, Prabhu. Slide number 9.
Okay.
Yes.
Yes.
Prabhu, here, the point number 4.
Jiva Goswami, yes, one. Even if a person is liberated in this life, he again becomes bound to worldliness. That could happen. That's what this slide says. Jiva Goswami says. Is that the one point you were talking about?
Yes,
Number
yes,
4?
yes, yes. So, Prabhu, how is it that he is still addicted to material desires, but he is liberated? He is liberated means there is no more material desires, no? So, how is it that he is again getting material desires?
If you can still fall back, you could still be attracted to material, attracted to material things. That's what Jiva Goswami says. And that could happen. Again, can be addicted to material desires. Now, we have seen many, many examples. Remember, people who, great sannyasis, this Mayavadi sannyas and all these things. Even let's say great example of Vishwamitra. How much great siddhis he developed, and still he fell down when Indra sent an Apsara, heavenly damsel, Menuka. He fell down because he went to a very, very high stage. He was clearly liberated in that sense. Liberation from the sufferings of material existence. And still he fell down. So that's what I suspect that's what Jiva Goswami is referring to that.
Okay, Prabhu, I understood. But I was thinking liberation means liberation.
Liberation means free from material sufferings, material existence. But they can still, how do you become liberated? When you lose attraction for material things. Vishwamitra reached to that stage. He completely won. And yet he fell down.
Yes.
Then Menuka came around.
Yes, Prabhu. But this is not the same as our mukti, right? Mukti hitva anyatha rupam swarupena vyavastiti. This is not that.
Bhakti means freedom from material existence. Even Jivan Mukta that we just heard, Jivan Mukta also, right, in this very life, when still a material body, you become free from the influence of the modes of material nature. That is what Jivan Mukta is all about.
Yes, but not attaining Swarupa, right, Prabhu?
No. Because you got a spiritual form, that is still not there.
Yes.
Actually, spiritual form, that is what when you become free from material, the three modes of material nature, that is what. But you still have a subtle body.
Yes.
The subtle body has to be dropped too.
Dropped, yes.
Then you go to spiritual world. Otherwise, you
Yes.
cannot go.
Because the definition in
Remains in your subtle body, your mind. Mind is the toughest thing to conquer.
Yeah. Yes, yes.
And that's where Vishwamitra lost.
Yes, yes. No, I'm saying the definition in Chaitanya Charitamrita of Mukti, we cannot take that definition here. Because that is for the devotees. This is for the jnanis, right? So that's different.
Devotees, what happened? And when ordinary devotees take it, still fall down in the sense because they are not perfected that. But you see, when you come to the Prema platform, remember Bharat Maharaj, he went to the Bhava stage.
Yes, yes.
Still, he was attached to this baby deer, and he had to come back again. So that can happen even to the Bhava stage. So devotees also can happen. But when you come to the Prema stage, then and of course in Bhava stage also, actually Krishna reflects that, Remember one great thing that when he came into the deer body, the previous memory still remained with him.
Yes.
So that Krishna protects his devotees.
Yes, Prabhu. And one more thing about the three branches of Jnana, one more slide was there, I think 2 slides before this one. There was a 3 branches of Jnana.
Yeah. What about that point?
So I wanted to know how you explained about that, because I wanted your explanation.
You want me to go again? I can give you right there without a slide even.
Okay,
the 3 branches. One is the knowledge, Bhagavad Tattva, Parat Tattva, knowledge about the absolute truth, Shri Krishna, Bhagavan Krishna, that he is Satchit Ananda, he is Rasamurti, like that. Okay. Then there's the second branch is the Jiva Tattva. We are part and parcel of Krishna, but we are separated, eternally separated,
Yes.
But in a pure form, we are still Satchit Ananda. But we have 2 states of existence. One is a devotee, other again trapped by material Maya Devi. So that is 2 states of existence, right? When we turn face away from Krishna, the forgetfulness of Krishna, then we become trapped by Maya. So that is Jiva Tattva. Third, what is the relationship between the Jivas and Krishna? So when we want to go back to Krishna after suffering through long time, then we simply enter into Bhakti platform, then we reconnect ourselves back to Krishna. So this is what we discuss.
Yes,
then by the process of devotional service, we realize our prayojana.
Yes.
So that is a brief summary of what I just talked about in that slide.
Okay, that is isn't the Tvam Pradata Jnana, Tat Pradata Jnana, and Aikya Jnana? Is that?
Yes. Yeah, that's the Sanskrit version of it.
That's the one, right, Prabhu? The 3 branches?
That's the one.
Prabhu. Thank you, Prabhu. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Any other points, questions? Okay, so I'm going to give Sharat Prabhuji 20 minutes Sarat Prabhuji, you have a lot of time. Haribol, Sarat Prabhuji.
Very well, Prabhuji. Thank you very much. Thank you. So we have discussed very important things. One of them we discussed regarding the Jnanis, how the Jnanis are preferred by the Supreme Lord. This is also discussed in the Bhagavad Gita, chapter 7:17. But please remember that the Jnanis which are talked about in chapters 1 to 6 in Bhagavad Gita, they are different from Jnanis who are discussed in chapters 7 to 12. As you know, from 7 to 12, the Bhagavad Gita talks about Bhakti Yoga. Bhakti Yoga in the middle, the Karma Yoga, that is chapters 1 to 6 in the beginning, and Jnana Yoga, that is 13 to 18 at the end. Now, what is the difference between these two types of Jnanis? Now, Jnanis which are described in chapters 1 to 6, these Jnanis, they have got a desire. What is that desire? To merge in the Brahma Jyoti or merge with the Supreme Lord. That is a desire only. But the Jnanis who are talked in chapters 7 to 12, they do not have any desires whatsoever. Even this merging into the Supreme Lord and all that, it is not there. Then the second thing is, they are actually the devotees. They are devotees. Why? They have come in contact with the devotees. A Jnani or a Karmi who comes in contact with a devotee, he also becomes a devotee. So that has to be understood. Please remember this. And in slide 9.
But that is, they are classified as a Jnana Mishra Bhakta or Karma Mishra Bhakta. They are
Yes.
your Bhakti platform.
Yes. But at the end, what in the commentary of Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, that is Sarthavarshini Tika, he says, even if some Jnani, he is getting into the Brahma Jyoti, still then at the end, he should have been Ananya Bhakta. Without Bhakti, the fruits of Jnana or Karma or Ashtanga Yoga one cannot achieve. That is the glory of Bhakti. Bhakti has to be combined or associated, rather it has to be a major thing in the practice of a devotee. Otherwise one will get nothing. The Jnani will get nothing. The Karmi will not get nothing. Then in slide 9, we spoke about the devotees. Devotee has no desires. Here we are talking of the Ananya Bhaktas, not the Karma Mishra Bhakta or Jnana Mishra Bhakta, or there are so many types of devotees. But here we are talking of Ananya Bhaktas. Ananya Bhaktas means what Rupa Goswami describes in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, Anya Vilasita Sunyam. They do not have any other desire whatsoever. That is desires for karma, jnana or Ashtanga Yoga, and it should be favorable to the Supreme Lord, favorable to the Supreme Lord, and not like what Kansa was doing or somebody else was doing. Then the difference between Mukti and Bhakti. Now, as we have learned in Mukti, that is, suppose somebody gets merged in the Brahma Jyoti, or there are so many other types of muktis also there. What is the difference between them? One achieves those things, and a devotee, that is an Ananya Bhakta, that is a pure devotee, he achieves the Supreme Lord's planet. The difference is that the pure devotee, he gets a chance to serve the Lord. In other cases, the devotees, they remain in the Supreme Lord's planet, they may have the same features as the Lord, they may be near to the Lord, like these things, all these things are there, but they do not get a chance to serve the Lord. That is what is the difference. But the devotee always wants that whether he is in this material world or in the hell or anywhere else, he should get the chance to serve the Lord. That is, serving the Lord, service is so important for a devotee. That has to be understood. These are the basic differences. And then we spoke in very great detail. I'll just repeat what Prabhuji had said about Jnana and Vairagya, that is knowledge and renunciation. Please remember what we are learning here in these courses while reading Srimad Bhagavatam, Bhagavad Gita or other scriptures. That is not this Jnana. This Jnana is Bhakti only. But we are talking of the Jnana of the Jnanis. That is Vedanta Sutra, or the knowledge about the Brahman, which is undifferentiated, like this, that Jnana and renunciation, they are actually not in harmonious with the path of Bhakti. But they should be, they are favorable to Bhakti because they also help. But after a person has set off on the path of Bhakti, Jnana and Vairagya, they are no longer necessary. What is necessary for a Bhakta or a devotee? It is this service attitude. He always wants to serve the Supreme Lord in many ways. Hence, this Jnana and Vairagya, they are not the limbs of Bhakti. In the 64 limbs of Bhakti, which in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu Rupa Goswami list, this is not these are not a part of Bhakti. And according to the opinion of the Acharyas, after one enters the domain of Bhakti, the continued practice of Jnana and Vairagya hardens the heart. That's why one has to be very careful about it. And a devotee should not be in touch, in contact with a Jnani. And how do you distinguish a Jnani or a devotee? That you know, ultimately the Jnani may seem almost similar to a devotee, but in his heart, if you talk to him, he will come out at the end that ultimately he has to merge with the Brahman, with the Brahma Jyoti. And then you come to know that he is not a devotee, he is a Jnani, and that path is very difficult, and one should not try to associate with such persons. So we have to understand that Bhakti is very tender. And when we enter the domain of Bhakti or cross the threshold of Bhakti, we have to be very steady in it. And as already explained, that verse which is spoken by Lord Brahma in the 14th chapter of 10th canto Srimad Bhagavatam, Jnana prayasya udapasya namant eva jivanti sanmukharitam bhavadiya bhartam sthane sthita smritigatam tanu van manovir. Here he is clearly saying that you can do bhakti from wherever you are. Sthane sthita smritigatam. And the what are the methods? The beginning method is hearing. And in this, the devotees, they should serve with their body, mind and words. And what they should serve? They should hear about the forms, qualities, pastimes of the Supreme Lord. From whom? Not from anybody else, but from the devotees only, from the bhakta's lips only. If you hear from somebody else who is not a devotee, it is something like a very good dish which is mixed with poison. Like this is going to poison your heart. Therefore, never listen anything from the persons who are not devotees. Like there are so many programs coming in the TV channel. There are so many things in the YouTube channel. Please don't hear about these things. If you are sure about the source, you are sure about the devotee who is coming from a sampradaya, which is recognized sampradaya, that is out of the 4 recognized Vaishnava sampradayas, then you hear. Otherwise, no, because that is going to harm you, that is going to pollute your heart. And although we know that one is unconquerable, but still he will be conquered by such individuals. Now we have to understand that the information or the notion that jnana activates bhakti, that is also not correct. That also has been explained in very great detail from the writings of the comments of Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur on from Srimad Bhagavatam. There, what he is saying, Sukadeva Goswami is telling Parikshit Maharaj that the Lord Mukunda himself, he was the master. He was the master of the worshipable deity and the best friend of the Pandavas. And the Pandavas, they respected him and they went by his advice. And that's how they could achieve the impossible task of winning the Mahabharata war against the Kauravas, though they had an inferior army, that is, inferior means their strength was much less than what the Kauravas had. Then the point of some people think that Krishna can satisfy a devotee simply by giving enjoyment, sense enjoyment, that is bhakti, what we are talking of, or liberation, mukti, that is merging into Brahman, or like that. And the Lord never gives prema bhakti to anybody since he becomes controlled by prema bhakti. But according to their idea, the subservience of the devotees is troublesome for him. But in truth, prema bhakti is the function of Krishna's Ladini Shakti, the pleasure potency. Therefore, he derives far more pleasure, far more bliss from prema bhakti than from his own intrinsic nature, that is the Swarupa Shakti. And that is the reason why the devotees are so important to him. That's why he says in Srimad Bhagavatam that the devotees are very, very dear to him. Aham bhakta paradhino, I am dependent on the devotees. And when the devotee is there and I am there, I cannot act independently. And since the Lord's submission to the devotee is his supreme happiness, he always hankers for it. And it is not possible that this quality of submission brings him pain or that he rejects it. And this is definitely given in the conclusion in very many shastras. And then the another point is the person who is free from identification from this material body in which he resides should be understood to be liberated. That's what Mataji was asking, Archana Mataji was discussing. And that person is a Jivan Mukta, Purusha Jivan Mukta Jiva. That's what Prabhuji described. But to achieve Brahma Sayurja Mukti, even a Jivan Mukta must wait until his prarabdha are destroyed. Prarabdha means whatever has been allotted for this lifetime. The Lord has allotted a certain quota of our things, various good karmas and bad karmas, for us to enjoy or suffer in this birth. Those people have to go through that. Without that, they cannot go beyond. And the Brahmagyana alone, knowing about Brahma, the undifferentiated Brahman, they are not going to achieve anything. Their actions, that is the prarabdha karma, cannot be destroyed. And for this reason, the Brahmagyani attains the wisdom which is of no use at all. And by the fruit of this wisdom, his heart is becoming hardened and he is not achieving anything. But if such a person comes in contact with a devotee, who is a pure devotee and not a normal devotee, by a pure devotee, then gradually he also becomes pure and he obtains also knowledge of the Veda Brahma, where the Jiva has a conception of oneness with Brahma. He gets that, but at the end, he also becomes a devotee. And that's why what again and again we have been told in all these courses, the importance of the sadhu sangha, which will be repeated in this course also and in the next course also. This is very, very important. Then one may be thinking, we are also associating with the sadhus. We also go to the temple and we also associate with them, but we are not improving so much. Here there are so many points to be seen. One is what sort of sadhu you are associating with and what is the potency of that sadhu. It depends. That's why if we can associate with a devotee or a sadhu of the level of Parikshit, of Sukadeva Goswami, or like him, or Sutta Goswami, like that, there are innumerable number of devotees, then our progress will be much faster. But those with whom we are associating, they are not of that level. But still, in this world, even today, there are Ananya Bhaktas, they are pure devotees also. And we should try to associate with them, then we will progress very fast. Otherwise, we'll progress, but our progress will be slow. And that is one reason. And the other reasons are like our anarthas, which have not left us, and how the anarthas will left us, what are the various methods that we learn here from lesson 11 onwards in this Madhurya Kadambini, and also in Jaiva Dharma, then we'll know. But our job is to serve the Supreme Lord, do service as pleases Him, not which pleases us, but as pleases Him. And then we'll be, if we are able to please Him anyway, then we'll be benefited. Otherwise, not. That's why we should do what the Guru Parampara has taught us. These 4 prohibitive things, chanting the name of the Lord. And please don't think that if we chant just 16 rounds a day and that is everything, we don't have to do anything else. That is not correct. We should chant as much as possible. And as has been told again and again, we should try to remember the Lord 24 hours in a day. And yesterday also we have been we have been told, and earlier also, that we can chant, take the name of the Lord while eating also, sleeping also, or while doing any work. Because taking the name of the Lord, that is not prohibited at any point of time, under any circumstances. So remembering these things with the association of the pure devotees, with the association of the devotees, we will be able to proceed on our path of devotional service. And certainly, if we make an effort, then in this life only, we'll be able to achieve the Supreme Lord, and this will be our last life, and we'll be free from all these troubles, and we'll be engaged in the service of the Supreme Lord. Therefore, we should always pray to the Supreme Lord, pray to the to Srimati Radharani, our associates, to accept her as one of the servants, so that we can serve them, and then she may give a chance to serve the Supreme Lord, that is Krishna. We should not go to Krishna directly. Krishna is very far away. We should try to serve our Guru, the Vaishnavas, because as we have learned, the Vaishnavas are in a much higher platform than even the Supreme Lord, and they are much more helpful, they are much more merciful than the Supreme Lord. There is no doubt about it. The most merciful Lord is Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and the devotees, the pure devotees, they are more merciful than him. That's why we should try to associate with them. We should obey what they have said. One should not say that the devotee or my Guru Maharaj has not given me these orders directly, but we are hearing these orders from the Shastra or from some devotee. We should take them to be true. We should take them as the orders of the Supreme Lord. Then only we will progress on this path of bhakti, and in this life we will be able to end our journey to the spiritual kingdom, and we will be a servant in Krishna's kingdom, that is in Golok Vrindavan or wherever it is, as per our attitude, as per our tendency. With this, I finish my comments. Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Thank you very much, Prabhuji. Very nice comment. Nice comment. Very illuminating. Thank you, Saga Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, please accept my humble obsession. All good Krishna Prabhupada. Namaste Narasimhai. Namaste Narasimhai. Prahlada Daini. Prahlada Daini. Hiranyakashi Purvacha. Hiranyakashi Purvacha. Chilatankar Nathali. Chilatankar Nathali. Ito Narsingha, Padato Narsingha, Ito Narsingha, Ito Narsingha, Ito Yami, Ito Narsingha, Ito Yami, Ito Narsingha, Vaid Narsingha, In Narsingha, Vaid Narsingha, In Narsingha, Narasingha Madin Saranam Prabhade, Narasingha Madin Saranam Prabhade. Pakala Kamala Bhari Nakhadbhuta Singam Hiranyakasipu Tanulingam Savadita Jai Jagadi Sahari Jai Jagadi Sahari Jai Jagadi Sahari Pakala Kamala Bhari Nakhadbhuta Singam Hiranyakasipu Tanulingam Savadita Sahari Jai Jagadi Sahari Jai Jagadi Sahari. नरसिंहदेव भगवान की जय, भक्त प्रहलाद महाराज की जय, श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय, चारु प्रभु की जय, शरद प्रभु की जय, गुरुदेव की जय, all assembled devotee की जय. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Charu Prabhu, Dandavat Pranam.
Thank you, Saga Prabhu. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Jai Shri Prabhupada. All glories to Shri Prabhupada. All glories to Shri Bhagavatam. All glories to all the Vaishnavas. All glories to 6 Goswamis of Vrindavan. All glories to all the Vaishnavas. Hare Krishna. So, I wish you all the wonderful rest of the week ahead. We meet next week, next Friday, again, 10 Vivarta class, and then we'll continue with this Madhurya Kadambini. Hare Krishna. Hare Bol. Thank you.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Thank you,
Krishna.
Sharat.
Thank you,
Thank you,
Chandrabhai.
Chandrabai. Thank you,
Thank you
Sarat
so much.
Prabhuji. Thank you very much.
Sharat Prabhuji. Thank you, Prabhuji.
Nice class.
Thank you all devotees. Very nice class.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Bol.
Hare Bol, Prabhuji. Thank you very much.
Hare Krishna, Sanjeev Prabhu. Sanjeev Prabhu, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hey, Sanjeev Prabhu. Dhanavad Pranam. How are you? Everything okay?
Yes, yes. Okay. How are you doing?
Yeah, everything is okay. Sanjeev Prabhu, I talk with you. I may call you maybe tomorrow or by the phone. I'll talk with you regarding that Zoom account. Remember that one you talked with me before?
Oh, yes.
I forgot it.
Yes, yes. Yes, sure. Sure. Yeah, I will send you the details.
Sorry?
I will send you the details to you.
Okay. Also, I'll talk with you about that one, and then we'll work out for the payment. Okay.
Okay, sure.
Okay.
Sure.
Okay.
All okay,
Okay,
with you?
Prabhuji.
Everything
Yeah,
okay in
yeah.
America?
Yeah, everything is okay. What's the any issue? Any new thing?
No problem. All fine here. Nice. Election time in Karnataka. All over India is the mode of election. That's
Yeah, India is going to